As many fans have said, the wheels are now firmly back on this Coventry juggernaut. Can anything or anyone derail Coventry City's promotion to the Premier League? We are going to be playing at the top level for the first time in many, many, many years. How are you all doing? Welcome back to West Sky Blues Walk. Our question this week is, can anything stop Coventry City? Welcome back. Hope you've had a great week. We're, of course, fresh back from Ashton Gate. We'll get our panel's view on what's gone on there. Bidswell in particular is coming up with high praise. We'll see if Jay and Chris agree with all of that. Plus, looking ahead to the remaining 9 fixtures as well. Just how many more wins do we need, do we think, to seal this promotion deal? If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, what have you been doing? Drop us a quick sub for a quick like. This is 20 minutes of initial Sky Blues chat, and then Jay and Chris are going to look over all the stats from this week and give their view on just what is working and what is not. Let's kick it off then, Chris. What is there anything that can stop the juggernaut that is Coventry City?
The only thing that can stop Coventry City is Coventry City. I think Jay knows exactly what I'm on about. Any Cov fan listening will know what I'm on about. Yeah, the fate's in our own hands now, isn't it? We've got a couple of very, very winnable home games coming up now. There's still a couple of I wouldn't say any of our remaining games are hard, are tricky. I think they're all ones that I'm fairly confident going into. But we're playing a lot of teams that are quite inconsistent themselves. Yeah. This weekend was one of the ones I was really worried about. And having come out of that, I said to myself, I was sort of like 70-30 in favour of us going up. I'm feeling more like 80-20 now, because I know not many people were worried about the Bristol City game, but I was a little bit. Yeah, I didn't know what to anticipate, especially as we didn't have Onyeka starting. We had Thomas and Rudoni both missing, so there were some. I was a little bit nervous, but great performance again. Brilliant game management as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He seems to have just sorted all that out from those dodgy days of Christmas. Mitchell says, MVE, Wolf, JDS, Grimes, Eccles, Wright, absolutely incredible. But Rushworth is at some ridiculous level. What a goalkeeper he is! Yeah, a massive 3. Yeah, and once again, Jay doesn't get all the plaudits, does he, every single week? But he pulls off some saves just to keep the scoreline as it is. It could make the end of the game quite nervous.
Oh, definitely. He pulled off some really, really good saves in the game. I remember in Twine as well. I think it was in injury time. He pulled off an absolutely fantastic save from him as well. But it's just not just the saves, it's just general all-round play, just so calm on the ball when he has the ball at his feet. He had this ability of goalkeeper, which the goalkeeper seemed to have forgotten, this lost art, being able to catch a ball. And he catches flipping everything. His gloves must have super glue on them or something. I don't know what's on his hands, but he's just he's just such a calm presence in the back, and it must be so nice and reassuring for the centre backs to have him behind him. And it's quite nice because obviously Milan Banewak does his fist bumps at the end with whoever scores goals. So this week it was with Tats, and then Frank does his fist bumps as well. But this week the crowd, the away fans sort of egged Rushworth on as well, so he got to do his little fist bumps as well, which he never gets recognition for as a goalkeeper. So I was actually very happy for that. But yeah, I'm just gutted that we didn't sign him in the summer. I was always a big fan of him. I said before we signed Dovin, actually, he was the goalkeeper that I wanted. Just after he went on his Swansea loan, he was the goalkeeper that I wanted. And just a bit good that we didn't sign him for 5-6 mil. It's going to cost, if we go up, then it's going to cost more than 5-6 mil, I'd imagine.
Beyond Hope says, and this was, like, as Chris has already said, this was about Rudy or Bobby and Frank for most of the game. This squad has the ability to take us all the way. Never give up. It's absolutely in our hands. And many people have been saying it's a squad now, Chris. It's not just the first 11 he picks, but the people that come off the bench that are doing the job. And it's getting his substitutions more right than he has wrong. That was a criticism, I think, earlier in the season. Perhaps substitutions were either too late or perhaps were having an effect on the game. Frank mastered that now?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what's helped him to sort of figure that side of things out. But yeah, before Christmas, we weren't making any subs till like the 80th minute. Most games, even in games where we were crying out for somebody to come on. And I think the worst thing about our game management before the new year was we were always bringing on like for like subs, and it wasn't changing the game when we were like chasing the other team when we were losing or whatever. Yeah, as you say, it's more of a squad now. Anybody coming in off the bench, I'm pretty confident that they can come in and do a good job. Latabodier, look at him as a shining example of that. You know, he was fourth choice centre back for the longest time. He's come in when he's needed to, been Mr. Dependable until his red card this weekend, which was justified. It's a shame he's let himself down a bit there. But who was it who came on? Wolfenden came off the bench, didn't he?
No, we started. Kitchens came off the bench.
Kitchen came off the bench, yeah. And Kitchen's a player who's come under loads of criticism, especially in the last couple of months, while we had that dip before we sorted it all out. And he came on, looked absolutely fine, looked like he'd been, first choice centre back. He didn't have any issues in not starting, because obviously him and Thomas were our main centre back pairing for such a long time. And it feels like forever ago that they were our two starting centre backs now. And you just wouldn't think it. You'd think Latabodier has been there since day one. He's been brilliant. I don't know what Frank's done to make them that way, but it must just be his man management or something. You can tell the players want to play for him. You can tell they want to play together. They want to work hard for each other, work hard for the fans. It's a proper, we've gone from having a few individuals in a good team to having a proper squad now.
Brilliant. Bidwell, Jay, as we mentioned, was getting lots of rave reviews online. Not a name, again, that we see every single week, but lots, like Mark was saying, I have to say I was delighted and appreciated the way that Bidwell, Eccles and JDS we played. What graft. We've got another one here. Where's it gone? Somewhere. No, I've lost it, but there was another one somewhere from Bidwell. How good was he?
He's good. I think the defenders in general were all very good. And one thing I've liked since that Borough game, however long that was ago, is our defenders. I think their responsibility now is just to defend. They don't have to play it from the back. They basically just give the ball simple to a Milan or a JDS or a Grimes and a Nyeka or a Torp. They basically just put their head on everything. They put their foot on everything. They don't have to play with the ball as much as they need to. I think that sort of works in the favour for our defenders. Like we've got Thomas again. We know he's not fantastic on the ball. He has his good days, he has his bad days there. Latabodier, I think he's a really good defender. But again, he had a little mistake in there, obviously, as he did this weekend. And I think that sort of helped with Wolverhampton as well. And also that's helped with Bidwell as well, because Jake Bidwell, we all know, is a good defender. That's the one thing he's very good at, is defending the ball. I don't think he can play left back as much nowadays, because I don't think he's got the legs to do so, getting up and down that pitch. But he was just basically a rock at that left centre back position. Didn't let anything pass him at all. There's one that the ball got crossed in, and what's the lad? Emil Reese, the guy who always then scored against us. The ball came in, dangerous cross, and he just bodied him out of the way. Really, really good, solid defensive unit. We did give the ball away. Well, we sort of let them have the ball for quite a large part of the second half. But again, they didn't look like they were going to threaten us at all, apart from the odd little shot from distance, and then that Scott Twine one in the last minute where Rushworth made a cracking save. But yeah, I thought Kitchen came on, did really well, and then especially with Bidwell, he hasn't played since, I think he's played one game this year, which was that Stoke game, and that's it. And we're in March now, so you just come out of the cold, puts in a good 7.5 out of 10 performance, and probably go back on the bench if it's the future.
Yeah. Brilliant. One last one, Chris, on this one. Craig says the mentality since we dropped to second has been unbelievable. It was a bad mistake, but the way they stood up after was unreal. Also, this was the best game that Grimes has had in some time. Oh, here's the one. Yeah, I knew it was there. Bidwell was brilliant second half. Frank navigating the tricky situation perfectly, you have to say. Yeah, just on that Grimes point there, we have commented a number of times on here that perhaps he's not looked his best, but did he look like the old Grimes?
Yeah, absolutely. We've said it a few times that he's been sort of up and down after being Mr. Reliable for so long and being like the heartbeat of the team. When we were linked with Onyeka, we had a feeling that Onyeka would help to unlock that in Grimes again, help bring him back out of his shell a little bit and give him that freedom to roam around where he needs to. And obviously, we didn't start with Onyeka yesterday. But maybe these last, I don't know, 4 or 5 games with Onyeka has done something to grind something in his head. There's something that's helped him figure out what he needs to do to get back to that. I don't know exactly what it is that sparks it, but I like to think it is Onyeka. He's been brilliant. Yeah, and as the tweet said, the mentality as well. Like, I think we all collectively as fans, we want to win the league, but end of the day, we've all said as long as we finish top 2, doesn't matter. But you can see that there's still a fight within the team. They still want to get top spot if they can, and I think we still can. I think we can score 100 goals as well. We're not that far off it. It's been a crazy old season. The players, I can't remember the last time we saw fight and desire and passion in the full Cov team like we are at the minute. It's incredible to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Wolves coming down, Jay, the number 1 side of the Midlands region now, in the Premier League, and bypassing Tottenham, going the other way as well, which is mad, isn't it? To think that that could happen.
That is a weird one. That again, I kind of want Spurs to stay up, because then obviously that stadium's a great place to go and visit. But then also at the same time, it would be hilarious if Spurs could be in the Championship or the best stadium in the world and all this sort of stuff. And Spurs sort of going around to Charlton and Lincoln, by the look of it, all these sort of places. It'd be quite funny for their fans to actually have to sort of slum it down with us boys down here. Yeah.
One of my best friends is a Spurs fan. We've been having a lot of fun at his expense the last few weeks.
Brilliant.
I think they come through the sort of the 7 stages of grief, haven't they? And I think they're at the stage at the moment. A lot of them.
We're hitting the league A to Z in a second for the letter S. So get your thinking caps on, you two, ready for that. Who the best player in the Coventry City shirt with S. But while we're on shirts, we're talking about sponsors this week, fellas. Have you got a favourite sponsor that when you think of all the shirts you've had in the past, one that resonates most with you, Jay or Chris?
Subaru for me.
Okay, yeah.
Immediately, like as soon as you said sponsors, Subaru, first thing that came into my head. Yeah, I love those kits. That was sort of like back when I was properly big time getting into Cov. So those are the kits that I fondly remember, the ones that mean a lot to me.
Yeah, it's also. I think it's always Peugeot for me. I think of
Peugeot.
Yeah.
Peugeot is one for me. That's the first thing that sprung to my mind. But the Subaru ones have really nice kits as well, and obviously Monzo as well as the latest. This will be synonymous with hopefully a title-winning team.
Absolutely, brilliant. We'll do songs next week. Or you two can have a chat about it in your extra time. But what's your favourite Cov song, especially if you've got any good new ones this year? But we'll wait for all the lads to come back for that one next week. Let us know in the comments. A to Z then. Favourite player of yesteryear or current year that begins with S? Anyone got a good one?
Dead easy for me. Sakamoto. He's an absolute magician. I adore him. I think he's making a real solid push to be my favourite Cov player of all time. Like, it had always been Huckabee, and he sort of reminds me a bit of Huckabee. He's maybe a little bit more tricky than Huckabee was. But yeah, like, he works so hard. He's so passionate. I don't think you'll find a Cov fan in the world that doesn't love Tats. He's incredible.
Yeah. Joe, you beat that?
I was going to say the same thing. I thought he was brilliant yesterday as well. Obviously, he got hooked for the right reasons. It wasn't down to effort or ability or his gameplay. It was obviously a tactical switch. Then he came off, but I thought he just did everything. He had their fullback on toes, but he scored a goal. He's 5'7" and beat a 6 foot guy in the air, which is fantastic. He battled for the second goal as well. He worked so hard off the ball, which is amazing to see as well. But then he's a hard worker, but then he's also probably one of the most skillful wingers in the league, quite comfortably. And it's not just the Coventry fans that love him. I think opposition fans love him as well. He's one of these sort of non-offensive sort of players. And Lampard always says he's sort of just so low key and sort of there's no sort of hassle with Tats. I'm sure if he gets sort of dropped like he was with the other week for Essay, I'm sure he probably didn't sort of moan or bitch about it at all. He sort of just grinded, worked hard, put his head down, and he just seems like a lovely fella and absolutely the ball of a football player.
Great shouts. Let us know if they've missed any from a different generation in the comments below. Thank you very much, you two. Great chat. Preston North End, a very out of sorts Preston North End to come then on Wednesday night. Follow that up this weekend with a game against Southampton, of course, as well. A bit spicy how that one ended last time, if you remember Lampard on the pitch winding up the Southampton fans. So I think there's going to be a bit of an edge, the needle to that one from the Southampton players, but we will hopefully see next week. Join us next week then as we go through both of those games with the full team. But stay tuned now. Here comes Jay and Chris with West Sky Blues Walk Extra Time. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next week.
Another win. It is, that's 5 wins in a row now.
Yep.
Fantastic. Yep. I think that's 5 doubles in a row now as well. So again, another fantastic achievement by Lampard as well. So I was confident going to this match. I wanted Port Vale to beat them in obviously an unlikely result on Tuesday, I think it was a Wednesday. So we could play this game, one, to keep our momentum going, but also they just played a tough 120 minutes on a grueling pitch, and they got a few injuries and confidence to really be knocked. But I was fairly impressed with Bristol on Saturday. But first of all, the lineup, a few little surprises. Obviously, we've been quite consistent over this 5-win period. The lineup, obviously, there's a few rumours that Rudy and Bobby weren't playing, and that sort of materialised that was the case. How did you feel when that lineup came out and you saw the Wolverhampton come in and over Kitchen as well?
I was still somewhat confident for the reasons that you've said, like what Bristol had just gone through against Port Vale in the Cup. And we still had, a pretty strong lineup around those. We still had Rushworth, we still had Jay, we still had, Onyeka, I think, was the big worry for me, him not starting, but we knew that was coming from a few days before the game. But even then, I was still fairly confident in the likes of Eccles or whoever else might come in and fill in for them. I think I was probably the most concerned about Thomas because we've obviously not had the most consistency in the centre-back pairings over these last couple of months. It's been, very chop and change. Latibodier's come in and done such an incredible job, and it looked like he was really starting to form a great partnership with Bobby. Wolfenden's been a weird one, hasn't he? Such a weird signing. I was really excited by his signing at the time. He'd helped Ipswich get promoted, and then I don't think he featured much for them in the Premier League, but he had that experience, so I thought he was going to be a really good addition. I thought he was probably going to replace Kitching pretty much long term. But then, for whatever reason, that didn't happen. I don't know if it might have been a panic buy because it was on deadline day. But there's obviously a very good defender in there in Wolfenden. We wouldn't have been linked with him in the first place. All of my worries were put to ease pretty much straight away. I don't think anybody you can criticise Latibodier for the way he got sent off, for the way that he just yanked his man down. But I don't think outside of that, nobody had a bad game this weekend.
I would agree. I think there was a lot of sort of sevens across the board pushed on.
Yeah.
In that case as well. Again, same as you said. I think with Wolverhampton, he's even sort of said it himself as being Bobby and Kitch when he signed. Obviously, he signed towards the back end of the transfer window, and Bobby and Kitch were actually playing really, really well at a point as well together. So he had to bide his time a little bit. And when he has sort of come in every now and then, hasn't sort of hit the heights that everyone's sort of expecting. But I thought he had a really, really good game yesterday. I was a little bit surprised that he started over Kitchen, maybe because Latibodier has been playing on that left side, so he didn't want to sort of rock the boat a little bit with him and sort of keep that little bit of continuity. That's the only sort of thinking I was saying there. But then obviously Frank, in the sort of interview afterwards, sort of said that he'd been training really, really well. He hadn't made the last 2 squads as well. So again, that's sort of testament to the squad itself, how well they're playing, but also how well they're training as well. When players aren't playing Latibodier, all of a sudden he gets a chance, he takes it, he shines, he sort of runs with it a little bit, and so on and so on. So that was really, really good. But the game sort of starts. I thought Bristol were on top for probably the first 30 minutes or so. Bar, I think we maybe had like a 5-minute spell where we sort of kept the ball really, really well, but then the sort of pendulum swung back to Bristol. I thought they played, again, it's quite bold formation where they had 2 strikers up top, and they had, I think, Horvat in the 10 role, who I thought played really, really well. and I was actually thrilled when he came off for the second half. Again, they were finding a lot of space down the sort of the fullback area, especially Jay side on the left. I thought Jay had a really good game, but for that first 30 minutes, he was caught out quite a lot. How did you feel Bristol played in that first period of time? What did you think they did well? And what would you like to see any sort of tweaks made in that period of time?
So I think they were definitely on top for the first sort of 20, 25, 30 minutes. We, as the first half sort of petered out, and once we scored, obviously, as well, we sort of took control a bit more. We had quite a bit more possession than them in the first half, and it felt a bit more even than that to me. But then for all the possession that they had and for as in control they were, they didn't really do much with it. It was 3 or 4 shots on target in the first half, and they had plenty of chances. They didn't pull a single save out of Rushworth. They didn't look like they were actually going to score. They were getting into those good spaces, but I don't think I wasn't worried that they were going to score in any of those situations. Maybe that's because Rushworth's been just so bloody good. I'm pretty confident anybody, heading in on goal. I feel like Rushworth commands his box. He commands the area, commands the defenders well enough to cope with it. It was a very, very different second half. They absolutely battered us. Second half, they had something like nearly 80% possession in the second half. The lion's share of opportunities, and just like in the first half, they just couldn't make the most of it. But as the game went on, Rushworth made quite a few very, very good saves, but they didn't look particularly dangerous, I don't think.
I would agree with that. Again, just looking at the stats in the first half here, they had 44% possession, we had 56% possession, 0.94 XG for them, 1.2 XG for us. Key thing here, they had 8 shots, we had 6. They had 0 on target, we had 4. They missed one big chance, which was that Net Borges header, which I think was just after the Lapbadia sent off. We had 4 shots on targets, 3 big chances. Obviously, both missed one, which we'll sort of talk about in a moment as well. And then, they had 157 passes at 81%. Success rate, we had 218 at 86. So I thought it was fairly equal-ish in sort of possession and stuff. Again, we were sort of playing the ball back around sort of back a little bit more. But they were just finding little spaces at the back. And I thought if they had a little bit more quality, then they could have caused us problems. But the key there is they had 0 shots on target. And three of those shots were like 25, 30 yards effective sort of shots, and then shots around the edge of the 18-yard box as well. So it wasn't like they were getting in good positions. I thought when they were sort of getting those areas around the fullback, around those fullback areas, we sort of handled it quite well. I thought Wolford did sort of grew into the game and defended really, really well. I thought Lati was excellent as well in that game. Again, then I thought we sort of grew into the game after that sort of 30 minutes mark or so. Again, I've sort of said with Jay, I thought he got caught up quite a lot for that first 30 minutes at left back, but then from 30 minutes onwards, I thought he was excellent. He sort of, I don't know if he just is a position or what it was, or we just got a grip of the game, so he didn't have to sort of deal with the defense as much. And then going forward, I thought his sort of dribbling and sort of ability to sort of get out of tight space with quick footwork was brilliant, and that was sort of evident with the first goal. Obviously, nice little bit of play between EMC and Jay, sort of worked it into the penalty area. Jay sort of hits an area. I don't think he sort of look of attack, but he sort of hits the area at the back post there. And then 5'7" Japanese superstar brings out of nowhere and beats a 6 foot centre back or left wing back from Bristol and scores out a brilliant header. So talk to me about how you felt when that went in and the goal itself.
Yeah, 2 smallest players on the pitch combining for a pretty good goal. Like Taps reminds me of Javier Hernandez and Tim Cahill, like really diminutive players who, for whatever reason, had incredible heading ability and were pretty much known for scoring great headers. I think that just says everything about Tats, doesn't it? His work rate and his effort. Like, I love Jay. that was one of his better games. But I think if the roles were reversed and it was Tats putting the ball in to Jay in that sort of position, I don't feel like Jay would have been able to out jump a 6-foot defender. I don't know why. I don't see that level of. I was going to say not that level of commitment. He's obviously a very committed player, but Jay doesn't really like bust a gut as much as someone like Sakamoto does. It just says everything about him as a player. He's so good. He the first player on the first name on the team sheet for me. Tats. He's the one player I really don't want us to lose. I hope he plays for us forever.
Unfortunately, that cannot happen, Chris.
No.
He'll have to retire one day. But one thing I think with Tats, I think obviously ability-wise, brilliant. Even last season, I think. Again, he just tries so hard as well for every aspect. But the one thing I think he's improved on massively this season is his grit and his determination. A year ago, I think he would he used to get not bullied off the ball a little bit. He used to get pushed around a little bit more. Now, obviously, with Norwich, you saw it against Norwich. He got pushed against Norwich, and he sort of he pushed, let's say, the guy back and stuff like that. I don't think he's a crap anymore. Like, he knows he's good and he knows he's got the better of most people. One thing, again, with the Bristol goals as well in general. So this season, we scored 3 goals against Bristol. And I remember the first goal we scored at the home. I don't know if you remember this. Ball came in, cross came in, sort of came in up to the edge of the area. And Jay De Silva out-jumped their 6'3" centre-back, if you remember. And the ball came to, I think So again, I googled this. Apparently, Jay De Silva is 5'7", which I think is a bit of a lie. I think Jay De Silva may have sort of tweaked Google there, and I'm sure he's 5'7". But again, 5'7", Jay De Silva beats their 6'3" centre back. This time, their little Japanese superstar 5'7" beats their 6 foot centre back or left wing back. And then for the second goal as well, did the same thing. So that's a bit of a worrying sign there, I think, for Bristol, but also for us, it's such a positive sign as well. Our small little, tiny little mini players are battling so hard for the club to win those balls, which I thought was absolutely fantastic as well. But we'll come on to the second goal in a minute, because something happened just before that second goal. I thought we looked quite comfortable. I think we really grew into the game at a point. And then, again, I saw on Squad Fan TV, they took comments afterwards. Somebody said that Wolfenden put Latty into pressure with that pass. I've watched it back. Not a chance. It was a poor touch from Latty, and then Emil Rees sort of nicked the ball off him. Again, he did pretty much the same thing against Sheffield United, I think, as well in the first half. Latty as well. So he also has that in his locker a little bit, which is a bit of a worry. But I thought he was excellent up until that point, Bodier. Yeah. But then that decision that he made, he lost the ball and he did pull. I think Rees did make the most of it, but he did pull him down. I personally think it was a red card. But and then I think I'm sure everyone's sort of heart sinks at the moment. But at that point, I was like, oh, what a silly decision to make at that point. But when that happened, again, I don't want to sort of dig it Bodier out, because I think he's been excellent this season when he called upon. But I thought, silly decision at that point. But in that situation, in hindsight, it's a wonderful thing. But would you sort of let him go run through and goal, or would you sort of yank him down at that point as well yourself, as a player and obviously as a fan looking back at it?
If I was in his shoes, I'd have probably done the same. To be honest, I think he just panicked a little bit. He's looked so sort of like calm and composed over this last sort of 4 or 5 games since he came in, however long it's been. It was a really silly decision, and when it happened, I out loud just said, "Oh well, that's that then." I just thought, that's it. He's been our best defender for ages, and we're going to throw this one away, because I did have a little bit, like I said before, a few concerns when I saw the starting lineup going into it, that we might not be at our strongest defensively. I think I would have done the same. Like, you can't. What else? If you let the striker through, what are you really hoping for? Like, best case, Rushworth takes him down and gives away a penalty. Like, I'd rather lose Latibodier than lose Rushworth.
Yeah, it's a long way from Charles. I was near the halfway line, and then one thing we know Latibodier has not got is pace. He's got a weird running gait, let's say. So I think the panic sort of struck him, and then he brought him down. It's a massive shame. Again, we're not too sure if it's a 1-game ban or a 3-game ban at the moment. I can't remember.
I think it's one.
I hope it's one. Remember, do you recall? Obviously, Jay got sent off against Luton last year for that when he clipped the guy's feet when he's running past the away game right at the end of the season. I can't remember if that was a 1-game ban or a 3-game ban. Obviously,
that was 3.
Yeah, that's the only worry for me in that case, and because it was a similar sort of situation where he sort of it wasn't obviously violent conduct, but then the settings off we've got this season, we've had Bobby, which is violent conduct, we've had Jay, violent conduct, and BT, violent conduct. So I can't really remember what the ban is, but I hope it's 1 game, and then we sort of have him back for Southampton, which would be brilliant. But yeah,
it's different depending on like if it's the last man, isn't it?
I think Lampard also said as well they need to check as well. So I don't think it's as clear as that. Hopefully, one of the journalists sort of find that get that information. But then obviously we make the sub. We take EMC off, who slowly walks off and gets a yellow card, which I thought was quite amusing. And Kitch came on. I thought Kitch did really, really well as well. And again, I thought apart from one moment when he sort of broke through, his job was there to just sit and defend, which I think has been a massive change for our centre backs recently. And my thinking was, my first thought was Southampton away. We lost to Jay, and I thought this is going to be 45 minutes digging deep and sort of backs against the wall and just be a wall effectively. And I think most people just thought, let's get to half-time, regroup. And I think Bristol probably the same situation. Let's get to half-time, let's regroup. But then all of a sudden, Haji Wright, the best and worst of what Haji Wright is in that case, the ball goes through. I thought Josh Eccles had a really, really good game, really, really grew into the game. We'll talk about the midfield in a little bit, but he puts a good ball through to Haji. Haji sort of, that to me is a sign of a confident striker. So I'm not going to sort of dig him out at all there, because he tries to sort of dink it over the goalkeeper, misses the chance. And I'm like, we're not really going to get too many chances there and then. When that happened, again, I can imagine what your sort of reaction was at that point, Chris. But what was running through your head when that chance comes in injury time, we're down to 10 men, the other opportunity to score another goal, and Haji sort of nonchalantly sort of tries to poke it over the goalkeeper?
I've been very vocal about Haji, haven't I? You've seen the things I've said about Haji, and I just thought, cool, there we go, same old Haji. Same thing he always does. He goes through these spells, he'll score a hat-trick and he'll look amazing, then he'll go disappearing for a while. But recently he hasn't gone disappearing. He scored the hat-trick, didn't score the next week, then he scores the next week. He's finally found that good run of form. And then when you see him doing silly little unnecessary attempts like that, you just think, like, what? One of my big problems with Haji has always been that he comes across to me a bit arrogant, and you see that in his post-match stuff as well. He's not good at talking to the media. He's not good at talking about the game. He's not good on social media either in any of the Coventry scene videos. There's just always been something about him that makes me think that he thinks he's better than us. And when he's trying to pull off little tricks and little audacious attempts like that, it just makes you think he's doing it for the cameras. Rather than just being a striker, rather than just a striker's finish, just trying to bury the ball, which he then ended up doing.
Yeah, we'll come to that. I think I'm going to disagree with you a little bit here. I think he's just a very relaxed person. He's a cool American LA kid, and I just think he comes across as not that he doesn't want to be there, but it's sort of like that's just his personality. I think where he just sort of relaxed, and then again that sort of goes onto the pitch a little bit. He's 6'4", I think he is 6'3". You know, that sort of he's a big unit as well. I've seen the guy in person, and he's got some broad shoulders on him. He's a massive unit. And you just wish sometimes that he sort of realizes, a bit like Ellis Sims as well. You just wish he realized how big he is, that he can just push people off the ball and stuff. But I thought he had a really, really good game yesterday myself. But the one thing, the enigma with Haji Wright, I say, that was in 60 seconds what Haji Wright does. So that happened on 45 plus 5, so 5 minutes of injury time. Haji Wright is joint top most misses, big chance misses. He's on 17 with George Hurst on 17, and then you've got Patrick Agneman on 16, so American strikers bang up there. sort of representing there as well. But again, and then 60 seconds later, I thought he did phenomenally well. He wins the header against their big centre back. He flicks onto Tats, who I mentioned already. He didn't win the ball, but he barges their wing back, I think it was. Again, he's 6 foot guy. He sort of challenges him to make a sort of error to sort of head it back. And then Haji sort of pops out his big toe to sort of nick the ball off Borders again. He sort of stumbles a little bit. I was thinking, someone's going to catch him here. Take a touch, compose yourself, get it close. But no, he gets up and first time just buries it into the back of net. And I was like, that is a goal. I didn't realise at the time he won the header as well. I saw the taps and the fact that he sort of nudged the centre back out of the way, but that was just Haji what we wanted to do. Wins a header, he battles. I thought he battled again. They've got some big units at the back. I also appreciate they've got quite a lot of injuries, but they had some big sort of units there. And I thought he did really well in that half, and also in the second half when he sort of ran them down a little bit as well until Sims came on. But yeah, again, obviously 6 seconds later, that sort of frustration turns to ecstasy. Again, what was your sort of feelings at that point?
Yeah, I've sat in the stands so many times and seen him not challenging for balls, not challenging for headers, just stood there nonchalant, like you say, very nonchalant and very just calm. He's, like you say, he's a cool, calm, collected sort of player. But in the past, I've seen him just put in so little effort and not challenge for balls, and just sort of feels like at times he wants everything laid on a platter for him. And I know as a striker, his job is to do that. But Gyökeres, look how much he worked for the ball. He worked harder for the ball than Haji does, and yet Haji scored more goals than him. And as you said, he's right up there for most chances missed, but he's also the second top scorer in the league. So he's doing something right. But that goal, his goal yesterday was exactly what I wanted to see more from him. It was a bit of determination. He could have quite easily gone down. He could have quite easily scuffed that, but he just tried. And that I sort of similar to what you just said. I sat there and thought, you know what, fair play, because I've spent all season bad mouthing him, even when he has scored goals. And I was quite impressed by him yesterday. I've been impressed by him basically for all of February and into March. I think he's had a really good run.
I think something just clicked with him. It's something that just really, really clicked with him. He's like, he realizes that the Premier League's on the horizon. He realizes the World Cup's on the horizon. He realizes when he goes to the Premier League that pay salary is going to increase as well. He just had another kid. He can set his kid up for as well. So I think something just sort of clicked with him a little bit there as well. A bit like with Ellis Sims as well. Again, I thought it was excellent when he came on. Just looking at his conversion rate of shots, is on 19.3%, which is actually quite good in comparison to every other striker. The only one that's sort of vastly ahead of him is the Potnik at Swansea. He's on 25-ish, 24, 25. I just saw what's the name, Will Lancashire, I think it is, at Oxford.
Oxford.
He's got quite a good run. He's gone. One of the lowest is Kyogo at Birmingham, 3.1%, and Nicole Bishop, 4.2%, which is quite amusing as well. So they need a lot of shots to score goals. But yeah, I thought he did really, really well in that game. I thought he sort of, I don't think he set the precedent, but I thought he was a part of the precedent where everyone was working and battling and trying hard. It was almost like the Frank Onyeka effect without Frank being on the pitch, I thought. It's just everyone was... It wasn't the best sort of performance, I thought. But again, we battled and we managed that game really well. And I think it's Daniel Farker who mentioned, I've said this before, he said basically winning games in the second half of the season is a lot harder than winning games in the first half of the season. And I do feel that we're just grinding those results out now. We're battling for everything and sort of winning things. That sort of brings me on to the next thing. Half time sort of comes around, we're 2-0, we're going 2-0 ahead against the odds, obviously down to 10 men as well. And then the subs again, obviously everyone comes on who I thought they definitely tried to do a number on him. Every time he got the ball, 2-3 players were around him, so he was definitely a big threat in their eyes. Comes off, thought it was quite a sensible move. Just because obviously they've got some emphasis on him, sort of ruin their game plan a little bit. Half time, Hats comes off, which again I thought he was up there with I thought him and Grimes were probably our two best players that first half. I think that probably edged it a little bit for me personally. But again, I don't sort of begrudge that sort of substitution because I thought it was essential sort of move to make. And then Jake Bidwell comes on. Obviously, Kitchen, I think, solid. But then Jake Bidwell, I've openly said I would have sold him in January and sort of maybe got some cover as well. Yeah, I don't think he's got the legs to play left back anymore at this sort of level. Well, the level that we're at, maybe at sort of a mid to lower level championship team. And also, I'm not sort of super confident in him being left centre back, but I thought he was excellent when he came on. He was just nice, calm, reassuring. Didn't really do much in the sense of ball play, but what he did, he just sort of defended really, really well in that case as well. And then, how did you think? Obviously, we changed with the three at the back, wing back. So Jay again sort of really excelled in that half as well. Milan did really, really well as well. And we'll come on to the midfield. We'll talk about the midfield next. But how did you think we sort of set up when it was 10 versus 11 at that point in the changes and sort of the tactical tweaks from Lampard and Joe Edwards and
it was refreshing to see because I think we've discussed quite a bit as fans on social media and that, like, especially away from home, about switching to that three at the back, wing backs sort of system. And it's something Lampard, I've said before, haven't I? He used to, before Christmas, he was all about just like for like subs, and he didn't really seem, I don't know if maybe he just wasn't comfortable or confident in changing the shape of the team, but he's been slowly doing that more and more, and now we're seeing the benefit of it. I was concerned to see Bidwell coming on. He's been a fantastic player for us, hasn't he? A great servant. He'll go down as a legend because he's helped us to get to where we are now. But as you say, he hasn't got the legs for it anymore. He's got the legs for sort of like 20 minutes, half an hour here and there. But yeah, I was a little bit worried when I saw his name popping up, but I was really, really pleasantly surprised. I think he's that sort of old, experienced head, isn't he? Because we've still got a pretty young squad. Other than Grimes, I think Onyeka is sort of like maybe 27, 28-ish. We haven't really got many other players around that sort of age, have we? They're all sort of like early to mid 20s. So I think he's just that sort of calming presence. Like you say, he can't do it at left back anymore. The game that really sticks out for me was Wrexham when they ended our incredible run, ended the streak. And I seem to vividly remember Bidwell being at fault for two of those goals down his left side. So yeah, it's always a little bit squeaky bum time for me when he does come on. But no, I was really, really pleased for him because it's probably going to be his last season with us. Let's be honest. He's not going to make the bench in the Premier League. Maybe he's the kind of player that you keep around for that experience. I don't know, but I think he could still do a job and probably want to do a job for a lower end, maybe like an Oxford or a top of the table League One team, perhaps.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think this year is his year that he sort of stick around to be the senior sort of person. Again, he sort of runs the CD player when we have matches and stuff. And apparently he's the guy that sort of sets standards again with Jamie Allen as well. Sets standards in training, and he's sort of just a bit of a machine from what I've heard in that as well. So again, I thought it was great to sort of see him get his sort of recognition as well a little bit as well. It's always nice to sort of see those more senior players, the guys that have been with us for many, many years now as well. He's been a brilliant servant, and he said for us as well. But again, I just noticed it down when you were sort of talking about Lampard and his changes. This is going off a bit of tangent here, but I think that he didn't make those changes sooner last year because he didn't have the squad. I think basically, I don't think he had the personal sort of the confidence in the squad because I always references the Birmingham bench. We had Haji Wright was the only attacking player that we had to come on, and the rest of we had George Shepherd on the bench. We had Kai Andrews on the bench, and maybe Miguel Brau there as well. So
there was a time when we had two keepers on the bench and like 4 or 5 defenders.
Exactly, yeah. So that's why I think that why he didn't sort of do it. But now he sort of he's making it. Myself and Jody sort of mentioned this last week as well when you jumped off the call.
Cheers, Dad. Thanks for that, Dad.
That we now we're making like for like changes, which again we'll come on in a moment. But they're having an impact because they're quality like-for-like changes as well. I just want to talk about the midfield itself. Obviously, Onyeka didn't start, and I think I want to say fans were sort of worried about it, but I think obviously we wanted to see. I think the second tier sort of mentioned it as well as the first game that we haven't had Onyeka since our little run. How we sort of played. I think you sort of touched on it earlier. I thought Grimes really excited. I was so impressed with him over 90 minutes in that case as well. I was impressed with him on the ball. I was impressed with him off the ball. I was really impressed with him as a captain as well. Like every time we were in fouls and stuff, he was talking. He's in the ref's ear and he's talking and stuff. And when Haji scored that second goal, Neto Borges came over. Haji he did a celebration where he holds his nose and did this little thing like that. I think Neto Borges was thinking that he's sort of trying to mug the Bristol fans off. He sort of comes over and Grimes just pushes him away like he's sort of nothing. So I thought he was really good on the ball, off the ball, and as a captain as well. But I thought Josh really grew into that game as well. Again, that first 30 minutes, I don't think we got the midfield at all. But I thought Josh, again, really excelled. I was quite surprised that he came off, actually. But again, I want to sort of touch on Torp as well. I thought Torp looked a bit rusty, especially in that first half. I thought he looked good in the second half when he sort of just sat back a little bit and he sort of got on the ball a little bit more and stuff like that. But how did you think those three players did without Frank Onyeka in midfield?
Well, as I said, I was worried about Onyeka not being in there. Like you say, first time that he's not featured since he came into the team. I absolutely love Eccles. He gets so much hate online, and I've never really understood it. I think maybe it might be because he's a local lad, so he's an easier target for local supporters to pick on. But just like Sakamoto, he works his arse off. He's busts a gut for the team. He's even at his age and with how few opportunities he gets nowadays. Again, really calm, collected, cool, composed. Eccles is one of those Mr. Reliables for me, Mr. Dependable. Grimes, as we've touched on a few times, incredible. His best game for at least sort of like 4, 5, 6 games. Fantastic. He looked much more in control yesterday. I think it's that a knock-on effect from Onyeka coming in and I think and working with him. Onyeka, people laughed about it like, oh, we couldn't get in the Brentford team. He's got plenty of Premier League experience. I think that shows, and I think that's helped somebody like Grimes. Grimes is sort of, how old's Grimes now? About 30, 31. So he's not got too many more years left in him, has he? Probably 4 or 5 years, maybe at the top. It might be his only ever chance at the Premier League. I think Onyeka has come in and really sort of made everybody in and around him step their game up a little bit. Who else were we talking about? Oh, Torp. Torp's a really weird one. I don't know what's happened to Torp. He just doesn't look himself anymore. I feel like he might be a little bit of a luxury player. He looks really good when we're already 2 or 3-0 up, but up until that point, I don't know. I just don't really feel like he fits at the minute, and I don't like that because he's an incredible player. Yeah. But I think the first half of the season, on the run up to sort of like October, November, he was probably our standout player.
Yeah, I've used that word myself this weekend as well. Luxury player. Again, I just thought when we tried to dictate the play, that sort of gap started appearing again with Torp itself. He looked a lot better when he had to sort of sit a little bit. Again, me personally, if you've got that sort of trio in midfield, I would put Josh maybe further back and then Torp a bit forward. Obviously, you look at Sunderland last year when Haji got his hat-trick. Torp did play in that 10th position. I thought he's excellent in that position as well. But I guess Frank loves Josh and his pressing more than Torp in that situation. But yeah, again, I think he's spot on. I think Josh is an easy target, but then we should love him more because he is a Cov lad. Again, I've got this hope that he secures the title at the CBS Arena and Josh scores a winning goal. That would be like the sort of icing cake for the season for me as well. Because I've said it over and over again. Again, I said this. Again, my little girl likes getting the autographs after matches. She's got all the players' autographs about 10 times this season, over and over again. So they're probably sick and tired of us sort of passionate for that. But I said this after the Oxford game. I was like, honestly, Josh Eccles has been absolutely brilliant this season. I think he's gone up a level as well. I thought he's been really, really good for us. And I said it over and over again, him and Rush is probably the only two players in that blip we had for December and January that sort of really were the ones that sort of stood out a little bit for us. It's the effort and all that sort of stuff. Torp, again, I love the guy. He's such the technical ability of the guy is absolutely brilliant for us. But yeah, I just think at the moment, maybe reference that sort of comment I made earlier about Daniel Farker. I think it was, he said it's hard to win games in the second half of the season than the first half. Maybe Torp is evident in that, where he at the beginning half of the season, where it was sort of nice, pretty football, and it's sort of teams weren't sort of battling as much. It was brilliant that sort of Torp can get the ball and do all this sort of stuff as well. But yeah, I think when the substitutes sort of came off, I would have personally taken off Torp and Ball and Eccles. But let's not sort of talk about the negativity, because I thought he sort of stepped up a little bit, and he hasn't been playing as much minutes as well. Maybe he's a little bit rusty or something. I don't know. But about the subs itself, I thought the subs made a bit of impact, because again, I mentioned that on X at the time. Even when they got their player sent off, which I think rightfully he should have been sent off, 2 silly yellow cards for him. I do think Josh Eccles handballs that ball to nick the ball off him when he gets the ball. I think Josh just knock it off with his hands. I think we're a little bit sort of fortunate in that sense as well. But then the subs sort of come on. So obviously we spoke about Kitchen, we spoke about Bidwell. They're the sort of 2 early subs. But then Onyeka and Sims comes on, and then BTA comes on. So they come on about 77 minutes, and then BTA comes on at 85th minute. And up until that point, especially until BTA came on, I thought we still looked like we were playing 11 versus 10. We're just letting them have the ball, which I don't think is a bad thing, because giving the ball, letting them have the ball all day, they were playing absolutely nothing. We were just sitting there and sort of managed the game out really well. Didn't really have to go up the gears. Tats got a rest. EMC got a rest. Haji got a rest after putting a good shift and all that sort of stuff. So I think we managed the game really, really well in that sense as well. But then I thought when BTA came on, especially, I thought we sort of looked really, really threatening going forward again as well. He sort of gave some energy, and then him and Sims sort of sparked him to life a little bit for that. Obviously, with the delay of the cough and having the medical issue, it was luckily seemed to be fine. We had like 10-15 minutes to play, and I thought we looked really, really sort of positive at that point as well. And then it looked like a more equal game that we were sort of edging again. Again, the subs that came on, we sort of touched on it, the depth that we've got. How did you feel? First of all, do you think the subs, again, including the formation change and the defenders that came on, were right? Were you happy to see Onyeka come on the pitch as well for again, with Josh and with Haji coming off? And then who did BTA replace? I can't remember who replaced. I don't know. He replaced somebody. He replaced Corp actually. 84 minutes. How did you feel Lampard did with his tactical switches, and how do you think the subs did when they came on?
Both brilliant. Yeah, I think it's some of the best game management that Lampard's shown. I said before, Bristol City have been really inconsistent, but not the easiest of places to go to at any given time. His game management was really good. Love the way that he actually tweaked the formation a little bit and made some really positive changes. We dealt with them, as you say, second half, we just sort of let them have the ball, and they had the lion's share of possession, 78% of the ball in the second half, I think. Pepper in the goal, but never really looked too dangerous. I was happy to see Onyeka come out just for those sort of 15-20 minutes, just to give him a bit of a run out, keep him fresh. He'd obviously missed out for whatever reason. But it was good to see him, so that sort of allayed any fears for Wednesday and then for the weekend. BTA, as you said, he looked really lively. He had a really, really good effort on goal, which Sims nearly then got onto the end of as well. Sims, I never thought I'd find myself praising Sims, because I've been even more vocal about him than I have been about Haji. But Sims has had those couple of little purple patches, hasn't he, this season, where he's looked great and finally found some form and some confidence and consistency, and then he's just been inexplicably dropped for Haji to come back in. So whenever Sims does get an opportunity, I can't remember the last time he had an opportunity and he didn't make the most of it. Obviously, he didn't score, but he's a nuisance for defenders. He's a big, strong boy. He helps bring other players into the game by, I think that probably for me his strength is he sort of diverts defenders one way so that it can bring in the likes of Rigoni, Torp earlier in the season, Grimes now that you've got on Yeka, freeing him up a little bit. I feel like we're a really well-oiled machine at the minute. Everything's ticking, everyone's doing their bit, everybody's working well together. The like-for-like subs, which were really annoying me before, are actually having some sort of impact now. But then, like you say, some really smart changes were made yesterday. I was worried about Bidwell, but he proved me wrong.
Yeah, again, I think he's spot on. I think the game management itself was absolutely spot on. We didn't really let them have the ball. They didn't look like a threat at all until the sort of the inch time. Trying to have that shot in the 94th minute, I think it was. I think the game management is absolutely perfect, and we didn't have to go out of second gear, which is brilliant. Then we've got a tough game against Preston. Well, tough on paper, obviously, especially with our record. But that sort of brings me on to next point. I see 95th minute, Rushworth made a great save for Twine, but I have to admit something. For the first time in many, many, many years, I don't like to admit this. Again, the last time this happened was, I don't know, it was about 4 or 5 years ago. I've fallen in love with a lone player, Chris. I didn't want to admit it.
I think we all have. We all have.
It's happened. I've sort of battered this guy away for months now, even through his good little patch. But I just think Carl Rushworth flipping how, like, what a goalkeeper. I tweet this as well at the match. I think Carl Rushworth genuinely could catch a bullet. I honestly think he can catch a bullet. Honestly, the man's handling is absolutely brilliant. That save for Twine in the 94th minute, again, maybe made for a bit of a nervy ending, but brilliant. Again, even against this didn't get spoken about at all. The save he made against Sheffield United in the second half against Callum O'Hare. It was an offside. If you remember this, it was offside. The ball got played in, and Callum had the whole goal to aim for, and Rushworth just sprang out of nowhere and made this absolutely world-class save and it went over the bar.
Yeah.
Because it's offside, but again, the amount of points that man said, it shouldn't happen for a team at the top of the table. You think I always references to again. My dad is, when he came over from India, he's been in Coventry ever since. The glory hunting little man. I was about to swear there, but my dad don't want to do that. Glory hunting little man. Sports Leeds. Obviously, he's a Cov fan now after all these years, but he's a Leeds fan. So I've got a little affinity with Leeds because my old man sort of sports. But I was thinking last year, Meslier, the Leeds would have been they would have been 900 points if it wasn't for him. He cost some games where Rushworth is saving us over and over again. And you look at the reverse fixture. I think it was a reverse fixture when he made that absolute world-class save in the last minute in injury time to save us the 3 points as well. I can't sort of explain how much I actually love it. Again, I'm taking a little bit of credit for this as well. I've saved a little tweet I sent a couple of years ago of a little shopping list, and my goalkeeper that I wanted was Carl Rushworth. I did say I want King as a hater on there. Did say I want Jay Stansfield on there as well. So let's ignore that bit. But so I did put out there that I did want Carl Rushworth many years ago, and I'm absolutely gutted that we haven't signed him on a permanent now. But I just think that I've said it over and over again. When we go up, I don't want to sign any championship players. I don't want to do what Ipswich did. But Carl Rushworth is the only player that I desperately want. I've sort of whacked Liverpool. I've gone off here. I haven't actually a question at all, but I've just gone off in here about how much I love this man, which is a pain because he's not our player. His mum and dad sort of follow me on Twitter as well, and I always sort of I do want to at them and sort of say, I actually love your son in a non sort of creepy way. I absolutely love your son. He's an amazing goalkeeper.
Thank you for making your son.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for doing what you did all those many years ago, because all of Coventry absolutely love him. And I just hope and pray that we get him this summer. I hope we go up. The only way we're going to get him is by going up. I just hope we get him this summer. But one thing I would absolutely love, and I saw this when the match finished and Oggy and Rob were talking. I saw him doing the fist pumps, and I was so glad that I saw the video of him doing that as well, because he is one man. It's a small little gesture, but the fans, I didn't hear what was being sang. Obviously, the fans were singing England's number one and got him to the fist bump, which I thought was a nice little gesture because he didn't get the recognition he deserves half the time. Because I think he's hands down, he's in the team of the year. There's nothing at all about it. But I've just gone off on one there. Talking about Carl Rushworth, what have you got to say about Carl Rushworth?
What more is there that you can say? I think without him, Dovin is a very good keeper. Obviously we've only had to bring Rushworth in because of his untimely injury. I think we'd have still been up and around, maybe sort of like the top 4 or 5. I don't think we'd be top of the table and flying the way that we have been without Rushworth. I think we'd be more, probably more like 6th or 7th, something like that. How long ago was it now? Probably about 4 or 5 months ago, saying that Thomas Tuchel and the England camp were looking at Rushworth for the future. I wouldn't look at him for the future. I'd look at him for the now. I don't think there's any reason why he couldn't at least be in the squad. Who does Tuchel normally take? It's Pickford.
You've got Nick, not great form at the moment. You've got Ramsdale. Is Ramsdale who's Pickford's backup? Who's not in good form when he does play. You've got James Trafford, who is a sub.
Yeah, barely plays. Yeah.
You've got Henderson at Crystal Palace who's playing.
Yeah.
So there's some good goalkeepers there, but a lot of them aren't in form or aren't playing at all as well. So that's not a bad shout from me at all. I think.
Yeah.
There's the form I appreciate he's in the Championship, but the form the man's had over the whole season has been absolutely brilliant. And the last player I fell in love with and we didn't sign was Leo. It was just strange. He went to Stoke after our season as well, which I was a bit sort of gobsmacked at. But we haven't had a lot of loans in the meantime as well, and especially this sort of level of loan. But honestly, this guy is, and I think
he's sadly going to be at least 30 million, isn't he? I know he said that if we go up, he wants to stay with us. That's great, but it's not in his hands. It's not up to him. Yeah. I think Brighton have been. They've got a very good keeper in that, Verbruggen, but he's been linked with leaving. I can't really imagine Brighton going out and spending 30-40 million on a new keeper if they can just have Rushworth. They've obviously seen what he's done for us. He's been incredible. Obviously, their biggest question is he ready to step up to the Premier League? Because he's not had. So maybe that's the only thing that will work in our favour, that we haven't seen what he can do against the likes of Haaland and, can't even think of any other good Premier League strikers. They're all really inconsistent, aren't they? I think he'd do a great job in the Premier League. I think he's easily a top half of the Premier League starting goalkeeper.
Yeah, I think he generally. I think I'm a massive fan of Pickford, but I think he'll get to that level. He'll get to that level quite comfortably as well. Again, I am doing my part every now and then. I do act Brighton quite regularly and basically tell him how shit he is for us. Hoping that price down a little bit. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to work in any which way. But we'll move on from my love for Carl Rushworth on to Preston on Wednesday, which is going to be a very exciting game, even just for a ball is kicked, because obviously we've got a few local Coventry acts performing beforehand as well, which I'm very excited for. Normally I don't go to midweek games because, as people know, I'm in London. So for this one, I'm definitely going. So I'm taking my daughter, who's absolutely buzzing because she's got school the next day as well. So she'll be getting home very, very late that day, just to obviously see this gig as well. But Preston, North End, are coming to the CBS Arena, a team that we've had many problems with over the year. It looks like Lampard had to break that hoodoo a little bit. But again, very, very tough team to sort of come to the CBS. But I was just looking into this. They have won one game in the last 10 fixtures. They've won one game, which against Pompey, and the last win in that period was the 7th of February when they beat. They've won 6 points out of the last 30 as well. And a key thing for me here, one player absolutely. They've signed Callum Lang, and obviously you know what Callum Lang did to us last season. Partly due to a certain Mr. Collins in goal as well, which that game that haunts me still to this day. But the one big miss, they've got Daniel Iveson, their goalkeeper. I think is a really, really good, talented goalkeeper. It looks like he's injured as well, been injured for a little while, and it looks like he may be missing that game, which I think is a massive sort of plus for us. But looking at Coventry itself, obviously we're going to have to make changes because of Latty for a start. Obviously, Thomas is going to be out until Rudy and Thomas both sound like they're going to be out after the international break. Lampard said at best they may come in for swing. It's also
a couple of weeks away, isn't it? I think that is.
Away, yeah. So that's 3 fixtures at least they'll be out for, which is not a bad thing because we've got they've got a good squad. But obviously, I presume we're going to start Rushworth in goal. We're going to start De Silva left back. We're going to start Milan right back. We'll start Grimes. We'll start Tats, I'd imagine, and EMC, saying that they play 45 minutes each, and Haji up front. So the question is, centre backs. Who's playing at centre backs? Who's playing next to Grimes? Who's playing in the 10 for us? What's your starting lineup?
Centre backs are going to have to be Wolfenden and Kitchen, which I'm not particularly confident in. Obviously, we know that Bidwell can slide in there as well, but not for the 90 minutes. Not against, Preston have had their issues. I'm just looking at their recent results now, but they pretty much always score. They're always a threat. They don't score many. They score one, occasionally two. Wolfenden has shown recently, how decent he can be. Him and Kitchen together, that fills me with a little bit of fear. But if Grimes, if Onyeka can start and allows Grimes to float off and do what he needs to do, and Onyeka can help protect those two behind him, then I can't envision too many problems.
Fine. So the centre backs are pretty much made for us. Then decided for us. Sorry. And then would you start Tats at right wing? Obviously, Eze sort of comes in every now and then. Personally, I think it's a no-brainer. But would you rotate it a little bit? What would you do there?
God, I never ever want to drop Tats because I just love the bloke. I just want to watch him play football. But he does need the occasional rest because he just busts a gut every game that he plays, doesn't he? I think I'd probably rotate, get Eze in. We'll see. We'll see. Tats. He'll make an appearance. Probably come on with 20-25 minutes to go. The jury's out on Eze a little bit. Obviously, when he came in, it was an exciting loan signing. I was really excited to see him get going, what he could do for us. Palace, he was great for Millwall. Palace fans didn't really have much to say on him because they didn't really see too much of him for their own club. But he's a bit of a one-trick pony at times, isn't he? A bit of a showman. I don't feel like he's a team player. That's my only issue with him. When he first started for us, he looked brilliant. He did he score a couple of goals, get an assist in his first few games, I think.
He got 2 goals. Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to be a revelation, and then as the more and more he played, I think the less he contributed, less and less. I feel like he just wants the cameras on him, all the attention on him. It's nice to have a player with a bit of flair, obviously, but I don't know. He just needs to rein it in a little bit. He just seems to be all flair for me. He doesn't know when to stop trying to do the nice little nutmegs and the Rabonas and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was one of the criticisms that Oliver Glasner said. Not in so many words, but he's
alluded to it, didn't he?
Yeah, sort of alluded to that in his sort of defensive work as well. So again, for me, like you, I think Tats is absolutely no brainer. Like he only played 45 minutes as well, so his minutes are managed there as well. So I think we agree on that as well. Again, Onyeka in centre midfield next to Grimes, I presume.
Yeah, gotta be.
Yeah, and then in that 10 position. So the options are probably Torp, which Frank probably likes a bit more sort of further back. Then you've got Eccles and BTA, or Esse actually as well, in that 10 position.
Yeah.
Obviously, Preston's form isn't fantastic at the moment. Would you go for the jugular and go with a BTA, which I thought he looked really, really sharp? Would you go for the Premier League level Esse, the £12 million man? Or would you go for sensible Josh in that 10 role, considering we're finishing our game up probably at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday, and then we're playing Southampton at 12:30 on the Saturday.
Yeah.
What would you do?
Yeah. That changes things, doesn't it? If it was it was a Sunday game or even just a 3 p.m. game,
Yeah.
might make you think differently. Probably, God, I don't know. I think he'll probably play it safe, start Eccles, and then just see how the game goes. I think Eccles will make an appearance. Essay will make an appearance. I personally would like to go for the jugular. I'd like to start BTA and just go for them, just batter them. Especially with them being so out of form, like you said, they've not won since. It's been pretty much bang on a month since they last won. But I don't think Frank will want to do that. I think he'll play a little bit cautiously. So I think Eccles will probably start, and as you said, maybe push Torp up the pitch a little bit.
I would agree with exactly what you said there. I was expecting you to go something different there, but I would personally play BTA in that 10 role. They're not in form at the moment. Go for the juggler, especially after the sort of mini concert we're going to have before as well. I'd imagine the crowd would be up for it and sort of put that pressure on Preston to sort of say, look. And also the fact that we've got Onyeka there as well. I think that sort of gives a bit more extra protection being at home as well. So I think the last couple of games we've had at the CBS, teams sort of sitting a little bit more. So I think BT would be a little bit more sort of energy to break that down a little bit as well. But again, like you, I think Josh will start in that game. But then that sort of comes on to the Southampton game. We were going from one of the most out of form teams in the league to one of the most informed teams in the league. So they've been on a fantastic run. They had they drew against Pompey 1-1, which was a bit of a flat game. I watched that game. Bit of a flat game, wasn't nothing special. And since then, they've had six league games and 2 FA Cup games. So they've obviously won the 2 FA Cup games, one against Leicester, and today they won against Southampton. And then they've also had 6 league games as well, winning 5 of those, drawing 1 against Charlton. That includes an amazing game against Leicester. Leicester were 3-0 up, and sadly, poor little Leicester were 3-0 up and in the last dying minutes there. So massively in form at the moment as well with Southampton. Personally, I would put Josh in the 10 in that game myself and sort of play him, do it that way, but obviously again managing sort of the minutes in that case as well. They played the last game, they played Sheffield Wednesday at Hillsborough, which obviously is a gimme, let's be honest. They played QPR, which I went to the game today, watched Boroughs. Again, as people know, I live very locally. Managed to get a free ticket. QPR was shocking. I do not know how we lost that team. They were absolutely shocking. They were shocking against Southampton as well. We drew against Charlton. They've beaten Leicester twice, once in the FA Cup as well. So it's a good run, but also quite fortunate with the actual fixtures they've got as well. They beat Stoke 2-0. They beat Watford away, who don't travel tend to travel quite well away as well. So I've seen a stat they haven't. I don't know if it's correct or not, but they haven't beaten a top 10 team away from home this season. So I don't know if that's correct. So don't quote me on that. But that again, I think sort of this run sort of flatters them a little bit. Obviously, got a fantastic win against Fulham today in the FA Cup. But if you run it back, Sheffield Wednesday away 3-1 win. They beat QPR at home. A lot of injury issues there. They drew 1-1 with Charlton. They beat again the FA Cup, beat Leicester 2-1. They beat Leicester 4-3 away from home. But again, they were 3-0 down at one point as well. They beat Watford 1-0 at home. Watford didn't travel well. They beat Stoke 2-0 away from home. Who Stoke obviously are not a fantastic run at the moment, and obviously a lot of their fans are calling for Mr. Robins' head, which I'm quite amazed at. And then, I'd say there's that Portsmouth game as well. Obviously, we'll touch upon it very, very quickly there. Are you confident going into that game with Southampton? Or are you sort of a bit nervy with that game? Obviously, especially with a bit of needle with Frank Lampard and his antics last time, us getting fined along with them as well. How do you see that game playing out? And again, how many sort of changes would you make in that particular game?
I'm a little bit nervy, only because of the quality that Southampton have got. I think it's just natural to be a little bit cautious. I think I agree with you on Eccles starting against Southampton. I think whatever team we put out on Wednesday against Preston is pretty much going to be the team that we see against Southampton as well. Like result depending, scoreline depending. We're unlikely to have any of those names come back, like you say, because it's going to be at least a couple more weeks for Jack and for Bobby to come back. So, I can't think of any major tweaks that I do. Haji would start, EMC, Saka, Onyeka, Grimes. I think, as I say, like you, I'd agree with having Eccles in that number 10. The defence picks itself at the minute, unfortunately. And Rushworth, I'm not. Like I say, I'm always a little bit nervy playing against any of the big teams because they're big teams for a reason. Southampton have still got a lot of quality from when they came down, but I think this run of form, as long as we carry this run of form into the game on Saturday, as long as we can beat Preston, I don't see any reason why we can't beat Southampton. Like you said, what they did against Leicester, great, amazing comeback, but the fact that they had to even mount that comeback, the fact that they let 3 goals in that easily, I don't see why we can't score that many goals against them. We're a hell of a lot better than Leicester are.
Just a bit, yeah. So that sort of brings on to sort of scores as well. So obviously, we'll have a week off, then play Swansea, which we'll talk about next week.
Yeah. But
obviously, we just went away, got 3 points, 3-game week. Sorry. How many points are you saying we're going to? What are the scores? How many points are you going to get? We're going to get this week? Do you think? What a good return as well, actually, for you.
I don't see Preston causing us too many issues. I can't even particularly see them scoring. So I take 2-0 against Preston. I think Southampton are likely to score, but I think we will turn up and give one of our best performances of the season. I'm feeling 3-1 against Southampton. And then, what was it? Swansea, wasn't it?
We'll leave Swansea for now. We'll talk about that next week. Just talk about this week itself. So you're saying 2-0?
Yeah.
On Wednesday, and then a 3-1 on
3-1 on Saturday.
3-1. So you're basically going for a 9-pointer in that case, then, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
So that would leave us with 8 games to play. 8 games, I think it would be. That would leave us on 83 points, which would be absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. I think I'm going for a 9-pointer as well myself. I think Preston will score. I'm going for 3-1 Preston.
Okay.
I'm going for a 2-1 on Saturday. I think it'll be a tight game, 2-1. So again, I think we'll concede in both matches, unfortunately. But yeah, I think we'll get the 9 points. And then imagine being on 83 points with 8 games to go. Realistically, we'll probably need
an international break as well to rest.
International, we have players to sort of rest as well. To get to 90 points and in 8 games, we need 7 points, which will be absolutely phenomenal. Again, I personally think it'll be sort of, again, I'm not going to ask you how many points we're going to get and whatnot, but I think it's going to be high 80s, sorry, to get promoted this season. You for us not to achieve that, you need 2 teams, be it Millwall, be it an Ipswich, and be it a Borough, to be perfect. 2 teams to be perfect. 1 team I can get, and the kicker is 2 teams can't be perfect because Borough got to play Millwall and Ipswich.
Yeah.
Ipswich have to play Borough, Ipswich, and Hull. No, just played Hull actually, and then Ipswich have got to play. Yeah, they've got to play Borough. So none of them can be perfect throughout the whole season. So somebody's going to have to drop points. Obviously, we've got a tough game against Hull, who seem to be sort of not sort of slipping away here, but they've got a tough game against Wrexham actually this week as well. So Wrexham run there with them as well. They've got a tough one. So I really think we can't mess it up. Absolutely can't mess it up. So I think if we get even if we got 7 points from this week, still absolutely phenomenal. So if we got 4 points from the next 2 games, that would then leave us on 78 points. So if our aim is to get 90 points, then we need 12 from the last 8 games, which again, super cheap. And again, I don't want to sort of jinx myself here a little bit, but one of those 8 games against Sheffield Wednesday at home.
Yeah. Portsmouth at home as well.
Portsmouth, I think, is a tricky one, personally. But again, very, 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 very doable because they may be fighting for relegation at that point as well.
Derby at home.
Derby at home, Blackburn away, which will have we'll have like 8,000 fans there as well, which will feel like a home game. So yeah, we'll probably need, again, excluding that Sheffield Wednesday game, probably need another 9 points, another 3 wins in 7 matches, which is...
Yeah, I think I agree on the points total that you said, like high 80s, maybe 90, 91, something like that.
Yeah, but again, I haven't said it all season, but I think a few people have started saying that now. I really want that title. I think...
Yeah, I do a little bit now as well.
Yeah, let's not admit to Mark, but I think the promotion probably... When you think about it logically... Oh no, we're not mathematically there yet, but 2 teams need to play, and the fact they've all got to play each other is, it's very daunting on their part as well. And also another thing, obviously, Saints won their FA Cup game as well, so that means that Ipswich potentially they've got to reschedule that game again. So they may have to have a week where you've got Norwich and you've got Borough, but in the middle you've got to have a Saints away game or a Pompey away game as well. So that's another tough fixture for them as well to add instead of. One, it adds up on physicality for them, and mentally you've got to then make sure you get the results non-stop for a whole week. It's a big challenge for them as well. So that'd be a bit daunting for them also. Again, I saw Borough today. I was quite impressed with Borough. Obviously, partly the fact that people were shocking, but Borough, I think, sort of starting to sort of turn the corner off a little bit of a mini blip for them as well, so they're looking smart, and then Millwall are looking really, really good as well. So I'm really good that we played all 3 of those teams and down to the
we took 6 points from both of them. Yeah,
and obviously Ipswich. Let's not talk about Ipswich. So
sorry, from the Ipswich.
We didn't quite get 6 points off then. But yeah, I think overall everything's starting to look really, really positive, really, really rosy for us again. And I'm really, really confident we're going to have a good week. As of next week as well. So that is me pretty much wrapped up. Everything I'm going to sort of say. I'll leave the sort of last word with yourself. Anything you want to discuss? Anything you want to say to the Sky Blue Army?
Just keep the faith. You know, I'm a very cynical Cov fan. No, people call me cynical. I just like to think I'm a realist. You know, I don't just bash the players and bash the team and bash Frank for the sake of it. I just, I'm cautious because we've been so close before and had the rug pulled away from us. And, I really don't want to get too ahead of myself. It ain't over till the fat lady sings, all that kind of stuff. Once, we've said on here a few times, haven't we? There's been 3 objectives, and in that order, it's secure playoffs, secure promotion, and then try and win the league. Secure the playoffs is basically done, isn't it? I can't picture any world where we're not minimum in the playoffs now. Really don't want to be in the playoffs. Don't want to have to go through that again for a 3rd time. But yeah, it is starting to look almost done. This weekend was a big one for me. The 2 games in recent memory that were big ones for me were Sheffield United, which we obviously got a massive result, and then Bristol City. I know not many people were too worried about them, but for me, I was just a bit nervy going into this one because they've been so inconsistent, and they really needed a big result because they're falling away from the playoffs themselves quite a bit now. There's quite a big, I think it's about 8 or 9 points now, down to 15th, 16th ish. To get into the playoffs. So the playoffs are looking pretty much laid out at the moment, aren't they? I don't think there's going to be too much movement. Maybe a couple of teams up and down.
They're 7 points off Wrexham, who've got a game in hand as well. So form's not fantastic. Again, just talking about promotions, I've a bit of a geek. I've say ChatGPT worked this out for me. On average, it takes over the last 10 years 75 points to get playoffs, so 1 point off that. On average, in the last 10 years, is taking 92 points to get 2nd place and 95% to get the championship as well. But that's obviously propped up massively with Burnley. I think hit 100 points or high 90s.
Yeah.
Leeds obviously did it last year as well. And obviously Leicester as well did it also as well. So there are 4 teams in the last 10 years that have ridiculously got some crazy points as well. So I think if we sort of aim for 90, that's title for me in that case as well. So I'm not a million miles away from that at all. But yeah, I'd say in that case, we'll leave it as that.
Yep.
Obviously, anyone, please do put your comments in below. Anything we've discussed today, more than thrilled when you guys comment. We'll sort of reply back. Obviously, subscribe, like the video as well. And yeah, let us know anything you sort of disagree on. We're sort of very, very keen to sort of hear from you guys in that case as well. But on that note, Play at 5 Blues. We'll see you all on Wednesday and hopefully for another 3 points. All the best, mate. Right. I'll catch you in a bit, Chris. Have a good one.
Cool. Cheers, mate. We'll speak to you in a bit.
All right. Bye.
See you later.